We spend a lot of time thinking about our physical immunity, right? But what about our social immunity? Today, we're going to dive into a really fascinating and kind of counterintuitive way to strengthen your connections with people. And it all starts with something surprisingly simple, a request, right? For our bodies, we know the drill. Eat your greens, get some exercise, take your vitamins. But building social immunity, making a relationship stronger to create a happier, healthier life, that's a whole different ballgame. It's not really about what you give, but about how you interact. And here's the twist. It turns out the most powerful booster shot for your social life might not be some grand gesture or what you can offer other people. No, the real secret, well, it lies in the quiet vulnerability of learning how to ask for a little bit of help. Okay, so let's get into it. The technique we're talking about is called the pressure washer favor. And trust me, it's a fantastic recipe for building genuine connection, especially with people you don't know that well, like a new coworker or a neighbor. So, why that name? Well, think about it. This technique is literally powerful enough to blast away that initial social awkwardness and give you a clean slate to build a new connection. It's all about asking for a favor that's, big enough to actually matter, but not so huge that it becomes a burden. This is basically the Goldilocks principle in action. A favor that's too small, like, hey, can I borrow a pen? It's trivial. It doesn't make an impact. On the other end, asking someone to help you move all day Saturday. Whoa, that's way too big. That just creates pressure. But asking to borrow a pressure washer for a weekend project, that's just right. It's substantial, it implies you trust them, but it's not some overwhelming burden. So why is this so incredibly effective? You might be wondering, why on earth does this work? Well, it's not magic. It's actually rooted in some really fascinating human psychology. It all comes down to a classic psychological effect. It's called the Ben Franklin effect, and it's a brilliant example of something called cognitive dissonance. So here's the deal. When someone does you a favor, their brain has to justify the effort it just spent. And what's the easiest justification? Well, I guess I must like this person. It's wild, right? Their feelings literally shift to align with their actions, and that creates a genuine, positive bond. And this all plugs into our deep-seated need for our thoughts and our actions to be consistent. When our actions, like helping someone out, don't quite match our initial feelings, our brain works overtime to close that gap. So let's look at 3 specific ways this actually plays out. So, 3 things are happening here. First, you make them feel important. You're signaling that you value their expertise. Second, when you ask to borrow their, quote, expensive stuff, you're sending this really powerful message of trust. And third, and this is a big one, you highlight their unique strengths. Imagine asking your gym buddy who can bench a ton for a spot. You're not just asking for help, you're acknowledging something they're really proud of. Suddenly, your request becomes a huge compliment. Okay, so we've covered the what and the why. Now for the fun part, the how. Here's a super simple step-by-step guide you can actually use to put this technique into practice. It's a really simple 3-step process. First, identify the person in that specific, just right favor. Think back to your new tool-savvy neighbor and their pressure washer. Next, you frame the request, and this part is absolutely key. And finally, when you bring the item back, you express genuine, specific gratitude to really lock in that new connection. Okay, listen up, because step 2 is where the real magic happens. The way you frame the request is what turns it from just a simple ask into a sincere compliment. So instead of just, hey, can I borrow your pressure washer? You try something like this. I've noticed how meticulous you are with your yard. I trust your advice way more than some random manual. See the difference? It makes all the difference in the world. You're not just asking for a tool, you're asking for their expertise. So let's zoom out for a second. What's the big picture here? Because this is so much more than just a clever trick. It's a fundamental shift in how we can think about building really strong relationships. At the end of the day, the strongest social shield you can possibly have is a network of connections built on real, mutual respect. And the key to building that isn't about you being impressive. It's about making other people feel valued, feel trusted, and feel uniquely capable. It's about empowering them. The source material really puts it perfectly. It says the path to stronger social connections, it's paved with the quiet vulnerability of asking for a bit of help. And that's such a powerful reminder that true strength isn't always about being the one who gives, but sometimes it's about having the courage to ask. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Who in your life, a coworker, a neighbor, maybe a friend, has a unique skill or strength that you can acknowledge this week? just by asking for a small, thoughtful favor. Give it a try. You might be absolutely amazed by the connection you build.